This card's terrible. How is this a pay-per-view? Just let me know. It's fight week for UFC 312, and Sean Strickland is heading into that main event looking to regain his belt, but is a very big underdog for someone who nearly won that last fight and is being almost overlooked by every single UFC fan. But is this valid?
I don't think so. I've changed my tune. After thinking about it seriously, we've been overlooking Sean for a long time.
Well, and I think that this weekend really puts things into different perspectives. You know, we're going to talk about this a lot later, but like, how good was Adesanya in that last Dricus fight? You know, like, he just got dominated by Imavov in about 6 minutes.
Yeah, and his coach came out and said that obviously coaches can say whatever the hell they want, so don't take this as like truth, but his coach did come out and say that his training camp for the Dricus fight was really bad. Like, they did not work on the right stuff at all. So,
but what is the right stuff to work on against Dricus? You know, like,
point.
What are you working on against Dricus?
Yeah, I guess wrestling, but even that, it's Anyways, we're going to talk about that, but I think that Sean Strickland has a great chance to pull off. Is it fair to say an upset?
Yeah, I think it's fair to call Strickland an underdog. You know, the odds coming into this fight, Sean Strickland is the plus 170 underdog, with Dricus du Plessis being a minus 210 favorite. So it's definitely an underdog.
Yeah, and I think du Plessis gets that credit because he finished Adesanya.
But Strickland's win was borderline more dominant of Adesanya
because he didn't lose a round, really,
and a better Adesanya. You know, if we're gonna jump ahead, kind of like, we look at their fights, not to MMA math, obviously. You know, we hate to do that, but we love to do it.
We love to do that.
If we look at the Israel Adesanya fights for both men, you know, Sean Strickland dominated Adesanya to a 50-45 decision, whereas Dricus du Plessis got the submission in the 4th round, but the fight was much closer. You know, Dricus also faced a worse version of Adesanya, and once again, that was proved this past weekend against Imavov.
Yes, yeah, that Izzy win definitely gets diminished now that Izzy lost to another contender rather than the champion Dricus, and Dricus looked the same as he always does. He looked kind of slow and wobbly and, you know, wild striking, not really technical.
It's like letting out a Beyblade in the octagon.
For 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Just see what happens. And Sean Strickland has, I think, a pretty good style to counter that because he is so defensively sound.
Yeah, it's hard. It's a struggle to finish Sean Strickland. I hear people are talking about, Dricus is going to finish Sean.
Yeah.
I struggle to see that.
Same. I struggle to see it as well. I think people are really MMA mathing it because Dricus went to decision that first time and then finished Izzy. He's going to be back on this finishing streak. Let me remind you, out of his 22 wins, he has 20 finishes. This dude is an animal. He's a finishing machine. But against Sean Strickland, who doesn't get submitted and who in his later career and who doesn't get finished other than when he's fighting Alex Pereira, like, it's basically impossible to finish him.
Well, and I think that people are also looking at the paths that both guys have taken to get back to this fight.
Right.
You know, if we're looking at the champion Dricus du Plessis, he obviously got that submission win against Israel Adesanya. But we're going to keep saying it. At the time was like, oh my word, you know, he just choked out Izzy, you know.
Instantly on the ground.
Yeah, it took him down and instantly choked him out. But then it's like Adesanya in 2024, 2025, where we had Sean Strickland, who had that weird fight against Paulo Costa where he just teep kicked for 25 minutes and got the split decision win over Paulo Costa in some weird judging from the scorecards. Like, everyone knew Strickland obviously won that fight. The judges were just so weird with it.
Yeah. Strickland, I would say, has less momentum coming into this fight. Dricus is on a little bit more respected and a little bit more hyped and more recent fights and against better opponents. So I would say that Dricus has more momentum on his side. But if you purely are just looking at the last fight where it was arguably Sean won that fight, arguably Dricus won that fight, I watched it back again to prepare for fight week. And even watching it back, I was like, oh, man, I would not want to be a judge for that.
Well, yeah, here's the thing is, like, that last fight was as close as it gets. Yeah. You know, I personally, night of the fight, thought Sean Strickland got robbed. I had him up 3-2, but then...
And so did Dana.
Yeah. And then rewatching that fight, I think now I slightly lean 3-2 Dricus.
but it's not clear.
But I mean, I could realistically go and watch that fight back again tonight, and guess what I'd say? 3-2 Sean.
Exactly. So you can't really blame the judges for that.
And this is a fight that was a year ago.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like they got into this very close decision 3 or 4 years ago. This was a year ago.
Yeah. When both of their skill sets are still relatively
Yeah, it's not like these guys just got terrible overnight.
It's not like Leon Edwards Bilal won, and then a couple years later it's a completely different fight.
Exactly.
And none of them, it's just it's disrespectful how much Sean has been getting underrated from us, from everyone, and I'm tempted to pick him in this fight.
Well, and here's the thing with a guy like Sean Strickland is, you know what, like, everyone's just out here hating on Sean Strickland, but he's as good as a guy as you get inside the UFC. You know, he's got a good head on his shoulders. He's a stand-up guy. You know, like, he's just a great dude. You know, he never goes out and says these terrible things like some other fighters, but people just love to hate on a guy who's just he's just a chill guy.
He's the opposite of a chill guy.
So looking at Strickland, he's a pure point fighter. You know, he's not going to shy away from this fight style as much as the fans are going to hate it. You know, fans now may hate point fighting more than wrestling. Yeah. You know, it's getting close. Like, it's almost as bad as the lay and pray wrestling. But it can be effective with the point fighting. You know, we've seen it with him and Leon. Like, those are the two guys who are like, those are the guys that are going out there to win the 3-2 decision. You know, that's what they're there to do. They're not
so true.
They're not looking for the finish, you know. And I think that this works into Sean's favor. You know, Dricus eats a lot of punches. You know, I think if we look at that fight versus Adesanya, we saw Adesanya in 2024 land the most significant strikes he's ever landed in a single round against Dricus du Plessis. That is not what you want to see when you're going up against a point fighter like Sean Strickland, you know, where Sean Strickland outstruck, we're going to get real MMA mathy here, but I'm just kind of using some examples. Sean Strickland outstruck Adesanya for 5 rounds. Dricus du Plessis gave up the most significant strikes to 2024 Adesanya.
Yeah.
Like, that is like...
Yeah, but the thing is...
of defense. Dricus doesn't play defense.
No, Dricus does not play defense at all, but we say this every time with Dricus. He does find a way. And that's why it's so, like, he's such an annoying fighter to predict and bet on, because in all realms of possibility, he could get a random finish. He could get a random submission.
Yeah.
I do love Sean Strickland's takedown defense, though. Like, watching that first fight, Dricus got him down, instantly stands up, does not accept the position, does exactly what he needs to do, get back to the cage, stands up, and then it's back to the feet. So I don't think Dricus is going to have that same... what do you want to call it? Like a shield of, like, you know, protecting himself, where he can just shoot a takedown and you know that you're not going to get hit anymore, because Sean is going to stuff that takedown and get right back up. Whereas Adesanya, you're going to have a minute to recover. Yeah.
And I think too with this is, like, Sean has had is 8 months since that Paul Gus fight to prepare for this fight. He's had so long, and you got to know that he's basically probably strictly working on grappling. You know, you think he's not sparring with Poatan, I'll tell you that.
Well, he probably is. Poatan's in his camp.
Yeah, but that's not the guy you want to spar against for Dricus du Plessis.
Accidentally knocks him out. Polar opposite fighters here. Yeah. Maybe the strength, like, you know, you'll get the wrist lock going on. Poatan wrist lock versus Dricus wrist lock. But, you know, Sean has hopefully been grappling, not just running his mouth all day. You know, like, I'm convinced this guy probably doesn't train in the off season. You know, is this guy actually in the gym every day, or is he just on Twitter all day long? It's him and Elon Musk, best friends, always on Twitter. Should we talk about the co-main event a little bit, or should we do? Because, sorry guys, we're not, spoiler alert, we're not doing a full prediction video for UFC 312 because the card is complete garbage. Should we give our predictions right now for this fight on the spot? I haven't thought of this. I haven't either. You haven't thought of this. But right now, give me your prediction. How does the fight go? It's funny. I was so, like, Dricus, like, I was like, this is free for Dricus. But then when you think about it, it's like that last fight, Sean could have won that. I'm Dricus. You're Dricus? 58-57 decision. 58. Oh, sorry. New scoring. New scoring rules, guys. New update just dropped. 48-47. So you think it's going to be another close decision? I think we get another close decision. Yeah. I do want to pick Strickland. It's so annoying, dude. I want to be a contrarian all the time, and then the one time that I pick Izzy, he had to not be contrarian. He freaking loses. But I think I'm gonna ride still with Dricus, not by finish. I think it's gonna be more wrestling from him. Even he's gonna do the Marab. Even if he doesn't land takedowns, I think he's still gonna shoot and shoot and shoot. I think people should honestly take notes from Marab, because lots of fighters, when they set up their takedown really well, they'll strike and strike and strike, and then when it's not on your mind, they go for a shot, and then if it gets defended, they're like, well, I guess that's out of the question.
Yeah, they're like, oh, he stopped my takedown, not going to take him down the whole rest of the round.
Exactly. Whereas Marab thinks the opposite. He's like, oh, they'd never expect 3 times in a row. They'll never expect 4 times.
10 straight takedowns?
They'll never see that coming. So I think if Dricus implies that, or applies that strategy, and he does have a gas tank, his gas tank seems to be improving as he fights, which is good. Obviously, he got that nose surgery a little while ago, which probably helped. But I think he's just getting better overall. I think he's still, we talk about improvement and the progression of fighters. I think Strickland is a bit older. He's about 35 now, or turning 35 this year. So he's definitely up there in age. And I think if you look in terms of like their careers and how they're progressing, I think Dricus is still on the up. People say you improve 20% as a champion. Yeah. Shout out Leon Edwards.
Strickland is just kind of in this standstill.
Exactly.
He's just Strickland.
Yeah. So even though I'm not going to take too much away from the Izzy fight where Dricus finished him, because Izzy's tough to gauge how impressive it is anymore. I just think that Dricus is going to have a bit more grit to him. That's what it's just going to come back down to that heart. Yeah.
I think that also let's talk about the co-main too.
Yeah,
we can just kind of give a prediction as we're talking about it. Obviously, my queen, my lover, Zhang Weili, I love you, is fighting Tatiana Suarez. I'm going with Zhang Weili. I think that she gets the decision win.
Yeah.
I think I'm going I don't even know, with the score 49-46, like a pretty dominant decision. Maybe Suarez gets 1 round. Yeah. But I also could see Zhang Weili tapping her out.
Yeah, I could see submission for Zhang Weili. She's improved her ground game a ton. She's strong as... probably one of the strongest women in that division.
Trust me, I know.
That grip is crazy. Anyways, I also think Zhang Weili, it's going to be a close fight, I think. Tatiana Suarez has a good ground game. American wrestling, she's also really big for the division. I don't think Weili's going to be able to bully her around or anything. I'll be sad if Suarez wins. I just don't think she has personality for the division.
Yeah.
Even though Zhang Weili doesn't fight very much.
And Zhang Weili doesn't have the most bubbly personality, but she's got that aura personality.
Yeah, she's just she's funny. It feels, there's certain champions where it just feels right. They should be the champion.
She's just feel her being a contender doesn't feel right.
No, exactly.
Same thing with Poetan.
Yeah, that would be so weird.
If Pereira loses the belt, it's this guy is not a contender.
Yeah, even with Izzy fighting on a fight night, it just feels wrong, but that doesn't actually matter in the fight. What matters is their skills, and I think Zhang Weili is still improving a little bit. She is 34 this year, so that's not great.
But it's women's MMA.
But it's strawweight, dude. They're so light. So eventually we are going to see her fall off. I don't know if it's going to be in this fight. I don't think it will be, but I do think it's going to be in the next year or two.
All right. Any people from the rest of the card that you're backing?
I like Jack Jenkins. I think
Jack Jenkins.
I like his personality. I think he's a great fighter. I've watched some of his interviews. Seems really funny. I think he has a good shot to get it done. In terms of the other Australian fighters,
Tom Nolan.
That's tough. He's chinny. He's chinny.
I'm backing Tom Nolan. That fight is so close.
Yeah, I do think.
But Jack Jenkins for sure.
Oh, Jack Jenkins for sure.
He's an underdog.
Yeah. Yeah, the Topuria and Colby Thickness fight, dude. The fact that his name is Thickness, that's kind of crazy, dude. That's going to be a close fight, I think, as well. I don't think it's going to be a finish for Topuria. I think a lot of casual fans are going that Topuria, the dude KOs people, man. People forget, man. Topuria's brother. I don't think it's going to be like that. I think if Topuria wins, it'll probably be a decision. Topuria's brother still grapples quite a bit compared to Topuria. Alexander Topuria still grapples a lot compared to Ilya Topuria. So I think it's going to be a close fight. Colby Thickness has beaten. Colby has beaten people with slightly better resumes than Topuria. Topuria's beaten up on cans still. Oh, it's tough. I'd probably, like, betting wise, I would put my money on Colby Thickness because he's such a big underdog. I do like Topuria though, so I'm still gonna go with Topuria by decision.
And my last one, my other wife, my other UFC wife, my queen, my lover.
Stop.
Zhang Wei. Nope. Wrong one.
No, wrong one. Other
Wei
Asian.
Kong.
Yeah, also getting fraud checked again. Dude, how do people not learn? She's still a 4-1 favorite against a grappler. Bruna Brazil, who's part of the Fighting Nerds, is going to. Dude, I like. It's free money.
If you want to be my lover,
it's free money, dude.
My friend. All right, that's going to wrap it up for us today. Go down to those comments. Let us know who are you backing in the main event and the co-main event. While you're down there, make sure you guys are liking and subscribing. And we'll see you guys next time. Peace.
See ya.